Kid.
Peace, everybody. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is season 2, episode 10 of the P.W.P sessions. I am your host, Noelle Figueroa, aka the Anointed Pen. Thank you all so much for joining me this afternoon. In today's episode, I'm excited and honored to have Don Krypton as my guest. And before we get started, I'm just going to do a brief introduction. So as you see on my screen, this is season 2, episode 10. And to those of you that are not familiar with this podcast, the P.W.P sessions, or the Poets with Purpose sessions, is a podcast where I conduct interviews with new or established authors of poetry, as well as rappers or MCs, and I feature a performance of their work along with an audience Q&A session. I am Noelle Figueroa. I am a poet, author, blogger, workshop facilitator, and event host, and I am the creator of the P.W.P sessions. And today's guest is Don Krypton, and this is his bio. Don Krypton is an Elizabeth, New Jersey native. He's general manager of Evolu Culture. He's founding member of the Newark Poetry Council, host of AM Mayhem podcast on Twitch, host of Coffee and Community Poetry Show in Matawan, New Jersey, host of Poetry in the Promenade in Linden, New Jersey, full-time computer technician, part-time poet, part-time comedian, part-time writer, part-time audio video editor, amateur DJ, future author, and much, much more. Affectionately known as the Renaissance man of Evolu Culture, Don Krypton is quite literally a jack of all trades. You name it, he probably can do it. Don Krypton has been all over New Jersey, helping further spark the poetry revival in New Jersey. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I introduce Mr. Don Krypton. Peace, Don. Good afternoon. How's it going, bro?
Peace, Noah. How's it going?
Great, man. Everything's great, man. Glad to connect with you. Thank you for being my guest.
Absolutely. It's great to be here. All the amazing previous guests you've had so far, it's definitely an honor of mine.
Thanks, man. Much appreciated. So I'm gonna start off with a question, basic question that I ask all my guests. Who is Don Krypton? Like, how would you describe yourself or define yourself?
I think that pretty much encapsulated it. Just kind of a jack of all trades. I'm at a point in my life where I'm literally reaching my tentacles out and trying to figure out everything that I can do, and I'm having fun with it. So I, I don't know who snuck that median in there, but it works. That is the correct phrase. But yeah, I'm literally a attempt to be a jack of all trades. I do a little bit of everything. And I believe it's time. It's time to actually start doing all that, start having fun, especially after the last few years we've all been through.
Yeah, most definitely, man, most definitely. But that's quite an impressive resume, you know what I'm saying? But like before you even got to this point, like let's take it back to the beginning. Like what, like, we all poets, they have their own reasons for wanting to write poetry. What would you say your reasons are for wanting to get into poetry?
I'm gonna be real transparent with it. I had gone through a tough time in life. I think everybody has, unfortunately, some type of sob story with some type of trauma, something happened to them. With me, it was more or less my inability to do the things that were fun to me. As you can see, I'm on Twitch. I am a gamer. That was one of the things that would be my piece. That was something that I would do all the time, just to relax, just to release. And I had gotten to a rough point in life where even that didn't bring me any peace. But everything was up here. Everything was up here, and I had to get it out, and I had to put it on paper. And that's kind of where it started. I started writing some stuff. I started, putting, feelings that I don't normally verbalize. I was able to write them down, and that's where it kind of started at and continued to here.
Now, what would you say were those first subjects that you got into when you started writing?
Oh, definitely heartbreak. Definitely dealing with feelings as a man. In this world, men aren't supposed to have feelings. So trying to deal with the fact that not having feelings or having too many feelings or not being able to control it, regulate it, things like that. And then immediately after I started, the George Floyd incident happened, and that I had to end up redirecting my rage somewhere. So then it became about social justice, and that's when the Newark Poetry Council was formed. So just definitely a lot of it started off with frustration, which is kind of unfortunately a natural language for me, but that's kind of where it started, and I was able to branch out from there.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. Now, who or what would you say helped you to develop your skills as a writer?
To develop my skills, I haven't reached out to too many people specifically to help improve my writing. I should, and there are people who have definitely helped me get to a certain point. Obviously, I have to talk about my family at Evolu Culture. There are people who who've been doing this for over a decade at this point. So when they critique my stuff, it's like, okay, you can see this here, I can see this here. That's all real good. I have people like James Ellerby, definitely someone who's written a book, has an album out, someone who has kind of we have kind of a very, very similar life path. So being able to relate to him and see how he writes, and look at that into my own writing as well. And just, I believe I take literally a little bit from everybody that I've seen perform. I incorporate a little bit of that into myself, and that's why I feel like I'm a jack of all trades, because I learn a little bit of something from everybody that I meet. So all poets that I've seen, including you, Noah, everybody that I've seen, I've taken a little bit from, for sure.
Oh, that's what's up, man. That's what's up, man. I appreciate that. But when you made this decision to share your work, some poets don't necessarily share their work with everybody right away. Some poets just keep their stuff to themselves. Maybe for like short term, they don't necessarily want to share their work right away, or if at all. Like, what was your decision to share your work? Like, you made the decision to want to start writing. When did you feel confident to be able to share your work in public and to be able to be receptive to any kind of feedback?
So even from a young age, I was I wouldn't, groomed isn't the right word, but I was I was taught to be a public speaker. So speaking out in public has never been a problem for me. The thing that I had to integrate into it was more or less my own feelings on certain subjects matters. It was more or less a challenge. Once again, going back to Evolu culture, when I was going through my thing, I had stopped at an Evolution Dope and Mic show, and there was literally a game that they played where two people were picked randomly from the crowd. I was one of them picked. I had to go around, talk to people, meet people, blah, blah, blah. And then our prize for completing this action was one of two things. Now, one of them was a wine bottle and the other was a writing pen. Now, the other person that was in the game with me was supposed to write a poem and then go on stage and perform it. I had to go around and meet people. So, however, they didn't get the prizes right. They allowed the other person to choose, and they ended up picking the wine bottle. So I ended up with the pen and the notebook, and I made 100% a promise that I would, be back on stage the next month to perform my piece, simply because this is what I have now. This is where I'm going to go with it. And it was very interesting that happened because that was February 2020. So, we know everything shut down the next month right after that.
Right.
But I was determined at that point in time to be able to share it. It was completely more or less unexpected actually joining Evolu culture, but I ended up, being a part of the Newark community of poetry. And they helped guide me and help me branch out to where I am now. So that's kind of what happened. My first actual live performance of poetry was at the poetry protest that was started up by the Newark Poetry Council. So that was very interesting.
Wow, that's what's up, man. And what's been the overall reception to your work? Like what kind of comments or statements have people made about your work? Like what have you been told?
It starts off more or less people hearing the voice first. I tend to be a low key kind of person, even though when I'm on stage, I'm something else. But the first thing that they hear is the voice. They hear me, speaking out to people like, okay, you have a great voice. Then it gets to, the subject matter. Obviously, again, going back to the point, men aren't supposed to be sharing feelings and things like that. I express a lot of things that, from men, they, this is, I really felt that because I feel that. And I never expressed it like that. And then, from women, it's like, oh, I've never heard a man say that out loud, something to that effect. And for the most part, I believe I try to be relatable. My poetry is more very, very literal. I'm not into the layers of metaphors and things like that. My poetry is very literal. So normally what I say is what I mean and what I feel, and that's what you get, and people resonate with that.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. Now let's dive into that for a minute in terms of talking about things that aren't normally talked about when it comes to men. Why do you personally feel that it's important to speak on those things that people think are taboo to talk about when it comes to men? Like why do you feel it's important for you to speak your mind on these things that need to be said?
It starts off kind of selfishly, honestly. Personally, it's something, if I had to write it down, I feel like I need to share it. I need to get it out so people understand where I'm coming from, how I was raised, how I ended up where I am today. It just so happens that many other people experience the same thing. I feel like it's to a point where if these things aren't talked about, the problem gets worse. If these things aren't talked about, it becomes something that festers inside of not only me, but not only just men, everybody, just in general. If you don't express these things or let these things be known, anybody can, it'll fester inside of you, and then you explode and nobody knows why, because you weren't able to express yourself properly. And I'm getting to that point where I can definitely express myself properly through poetry. And hopefully people definitely understand and get to that point where they also can do so as well.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. Yeah, and that is important because if we're going to break these cycles these generational curses and these generational, cycles of negativity and stereotypes. It's important that we put this stuff down on paper and share it to let people know that these issues are real and that they need to be addressed, or else the cycle is going to keep continuing over and over again. So it's definitely important that you made the decision to do that, because it's needed, and I don't think it's done at the level it's supposed to be, in my personal opinion. But I give you props that you made that decision to do it, because it's definitely needed for sure. Now, who inspires you? Like, who would you consider to be the top poets that get your attention and inspire you?
The top poets. Man, I can't put any names out there. As I said, I literally take a little bit from everyone. So if I start off with, again, going back to my people, Sean, Treasure, those people just go amazing. I've seen somebody very recently do poetry, Jay Grimm, over at the People's Open Mic. I saw him play the violin before. I didn't know he was, a lyricist, because I'm still kind of new to the community. So, he's amazing, awesome. Going through all the people, like I said, James Ellaby, definitely somebody who I relate to. We have a similar style. We can literally go anywhere and everywhere. Obviously a couple people on the mic today, obviously, Julie, Torius, just have different styles, different mannerisms, different ways that they put things out there. It's really amazing to see everybody have their own individual style. Down in South Jersey, Chris Rockwell, the way he incorporates hip hop and poetry together, kind of meshing everything together, giving topics as social justice topics. That's amazing as well. Going over to New York, I've seen people at the New Eurekan go just amazing over there. My guy Paul Conqueso. Honestly, it's everybody locally for me. It's the people that I've met, that I've seen actually personally perform. And it's as much as you have people like, obviously, like Brandon Leak, who made it to a bigger stage, Black Chakra, people who've made it way to a bigger stage. But you meet them in person, they're still a regular person like you and me. They're going through all the same things. They can hit those little similes, metaphors, all that good stuff, but they're still a regular person. So it's very interesting to see everybody in their natural habitat. And like I said, I take a little bit from everybody. So literally everybody that I see on stage inspires me in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. That's what's up. Who like when you considering your writing overall, are there certain subjects that you like to write about more than others, or do you feel, or are you the type of poet that just writes what you feel?
I'll definitely write what I feel. My poetry is a little bit more maybe in the observational realm. I write about things that I see. I write about comparisons to things that I see to how I feel. And I believe it's certainly more of a way to just express things maybe in a way that I wouldn't normally do it. If I keep it all up here, sometimes it disappears and I don't, it's never thought about again. But if it's written down on paper, I can go back, recall it, and see maybe how my thoughts have changed over the years, over the months that I've been doing this. So I believe that definitely it's important to branch out in the ways and different ways that you express your poetry as well.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. Now let's dive into your creative resume that's in your bio for a second, because you got your hands in a lot, and that's awesome. That's awesome. And it seems that New Jersey is definitely buzzing when it comes to the poetry scene. Now, has this always been the case? Like, what is your perception of the poetry scene in New Jersey? Has it always been buzzing, or is it like, has it like gone away and come back? It's like, what's your take on that?
I believe it definitely always has been buzzing. Corona put a little bit of a damper on it, but I believe it's always been buzzing. But if I'm gonna be real honest with you, sometimes it's cliquish. Certain areas stay in certain areas, and I'm one of those guys that tries to bridge the gap. Obviously, I'm from Elizabeth. I'm part of a poetry organization that's in Newark, New Jersey. One of my favorite artists is, one of my favorite poets is from, Turnersville. I do events with people out, and I host a show in Mattawan. I work with people, I don't know if you've heard the Poetry Renaissance down, by the shore area, talking Damien Rucci and things like that. I go down to those shows, and I try to connect with everybody, as many people as I can, to try to bridge these gaps, because, if everybody stays in their certain areas, we don't get that collaborative feel. And I've been trying to be one of those people who try to bring everybody together. I believe the scene has always been there. It's a bit cliquish, and we don't understand everybody else's thing. But if we can bridge that gap somehow, I'm going to try to be the one in the middle of that and make that happen.
Yeah, and how does that feel for you to be able to be part of so many different poetry scenes, and to be able to make these kinds of contributions? Like, how's that feel for you?
I feel like it's initially, it started off as me, obviously, if you're from the Newark area, Corona shut everything down, all types of businesses, all types of events, everything was done. Nothing was open. Obviously, in the more rural parts of Jersey, things were a little more looser. So, I went down south to be able to, to express a little bit more, to be able to get to the different scenes, to be able to see what else is out there. And I believe that's kind of just it feels different. It feels different going down there. That's all it is. Everybody has a different style. And, I realized that, I didn't have to rhyme all the time in order to be an effective poet,
Right,
so,
right.
but then, you come back to people up north. Once Newark reopened back up, it was very beautiful to see everybody coming right back to the places they were, still rhyming, still flowing, still doing everything that they were doing. It's just a difference in styles. I think that's what gets me the most.
Most definitely, most definitely. And because of the pandemic, there was a major shift into doing things virtually, which is how I wound up connecting with people like you and Julie and Sean Battle and a whole bunch of other poets, mostly from New Jersey as well, and seeing their work and what they're bringing into the table. And now that things have opened up again, it's just awesome to see the variety of voices that have something to say, that's bringing a whole lot to the poetry table. And I'm personally excited about that, because that provides a lot of inspiration to me as well. So it's definitely that's definitely something positive that we need to just work at keeping it moving, for sure. Now, you've heard the word representation thrown around in different circles, right?
Mhm.
Now, when it comes to your writing and yourself as a poet, how important is it to you to make sure that you're representing yourself in your totality? Whether you're speaking on yourself as a man, as a Black man, education, background, religion, if it applies to you, life experience, all the things that make you who you are. How important is it to make sure that when you write and perform, that you're representing yourself in your totality?
That's a good question. If I'm being honest about representing myself, I don't know who I am. I really feel like I don't fully know who I am just yet, and this poetry is definitely helping. Being able to write it down, being able to see the things that I believe about myself on paper, being able to see, people, if they record or something, being able to see me looking back at myself and seeing what the other people see as well. If I'm representing, as much as I understand why this phrase wasn't used correctly, I try not to, I'm not Black, I'm Kevin, I'm not Black, I'm Don, but at the same time, Don is a Black man, hetero male. I am that all of that still needs to be seen. as far as everything is considered. So as far as representation, I try to represent who Don is the most, first and foremost. But at the same time, I understand that as a person of color, as a Black man, I need to make sure that I am doing that properly, whatever that looks like in general. As a man in general, I need to make sure that I'm handling myself properly, whatever that looks like in general. Just trying to be the best me I can be, but at the same time still being an example for anybody else who's coming up or anybody else who's getting a foothold in the game.
All right. That's what's up, man. That's what's up. And that definitely provides the perfect segue to the next segment of this episode, because now it is time for Mr. Don Krypton to take the mic. So, bro, at this time, I'm giving you space to do up to 5 poems of your choosing. You don't have to do 5, but you got space to do 5, just to give our audience an idea of who you are, as a poet, and and showing what you bring to the table. So at this time, the floor is yours.
Understood. Greatly appreciated. I like to start off with saying that, as much as I attempt to be humble, I attempt to be, not flashy and showy, and yet I pull up in here with, Versace shades. But I do like to say that I am a star in the making. But sometimes that's the problem. I'm always in the making. I always dream big, but the problem is I chose to surround myself with small minds. I don't know if it was ego or pride or superiority complex, but I understand why I never fully reached this potential of mine. See, life wasn't rough, but I did not have a silver spoon, and I know your chances of making it big are come once in a blue moon. I'm in the process now of reworking my mind, and for the passion of the spoken word has finally been revived. And if you take a little while to look in my mind and press rewind, I bet you'll figure out why I've been so far behind. See, when you enter a room with 4 fools, there's actually 5. And I was in that room so long, I'm surprised I still have brain cells alive. See, I was the smartest in the room, but I was losing my strive for greatness. So when it all fell down around me, I was wondering why. And when I realized I wasn't changing, but life was still passing me by. See, when I fall, I knew I could rely on book smarts, but I was a complete tool and a fool when it came to matters of the heart. I was stubborn, arrogant, full of foolish pride, and when everything hit the fan, it could have led to suicide. It takes a little while, but you finally realize that sometimes losing everything is really a blessing in disguise. It becomes clear to you when you get a chance to focus your mind's eye that you get back on that path and realize your real prize. It's a struggle going uphill, but as you get higher and higher, the blessings will start coming down. So don't forget your supplier. Now, whether that's you or whoever it is you look up to, remember sometimes you do have to lose who you thought you were to stay true. These things take a little bit of time and you cannot debate this, but never give up hope that you are destined for greatness. So if you feel like it's taken a long time and you're tired of waiting, always remember that you are probably a star in the making. I believe that's something that's important as well, being a star in the making. But sometimes you look out there in the galaxies, you see, everything out there, not only stars, planets, galaxies, but sometimes there are things out there that you don't see that still end up being supremely important to who you are. One of the planets that we can't see with the naked eye is the planet Pluto. So we call it the invisible blue dot. Now, Pluto was one of the last planets to be found, even though it was predicted before it was seen. 248 years before it goes around the sun, you being you, planet Pluto, defined what a planet really means. You inspire so many shows and many powerful imageries, and before your discovery and your pictures on the screen, you were named after the Greek god of the underworld, unknown, unseen, guiding the dead to their final destination. In the poetry realm, you are seen as the Black Cat of Edgar Allan Poe, reminding people of their sins and fallacies. After your sighting, you were bright and beautiful depictions, a beautiful, loyal dog associated with a beloved animated character, before once again being thrust into darkness as an evil antagonist throughout the years. I think the most appropriate comparison of Pluto is the anime character from Sailor Moon called Sailor Pluto. Tasked to guard the gates of time and space, never allowed to fight alongside her queen and her sisters, and when finally allowed to fight alongside, Sailor Pluto died. She was finally revived, but without her powers, given a chance to lead a normal life. But is that what anyone wants? Your place being questioned, your rank being stripped, being relegated to the background, despite knowing that you were there first. No. See, your name will always be associated with greatness. Just because you are not the standard does not mean you do not set your own standard. And just because you aren't there at the end doesn't negate from the fact that what you meant from us, what you meant to us from the start. And whether you are a planet or not, planet Pluto, you will always have a place in our hearts. I always say this, the galaxy was my first love. And then I started getting into math and science, and then, science fiction. And that's kind of where the name came from, Don Krypton. While I was a fan of the Superman series, I wasn't a fan of Superman himself. He was too good. He was too much of a goody two shoes, But I looked at the thing that brought him down. No man could do him, no bullet can do him, but kryptonite, a rock, small radioactive rock, took him down. Very interesting to think about. Now, I make my sign green because even though it's meant to have the Superman symbol, I make it green to indicate the kryptonite. Now, this symbol, there's a whole story behind it. We're not going to get into it here. Keep it clean for the children. But the symbol was a green Superman symbol when I first started out. Now, the thing is, the symbol that I made for Don Krypton, it didn't mean hope. It meant power. It helps people feel more powerful than they already are. So you can see that it was mean and green, but to me, it means so much more. See, mine is the true sign because it represents the toxicity and corruption of the hope that we hoped for. And as nice as it would be to believe in folklore, there are so many times in life where we fight ourselves in war. Sometimes you really have to attack like Brainiac. You have to put money to the fore like Lex Luthor. Sometimes you have to replace your heart with a rock like Metallo. Sometimes you got to be bold like the main man Lobo. Sometimes you got to grab that power rod like General Zod. Sometimes you got to take life like Parasite. Sometimes you have to play your fans like Toyman. Sometimes you got to follow your desire like Livewire. And when everything is upside down and bizarro to you, and those days you cannot beat back your dark side, and you feel like that your doomsday is coming soon, you must remember that you are, that I am, man, and this hope is my power. And even though I have that power sometimes, it becomes a hindrance when you don't know where to put it. As I mentioned before, sometimes I don't even know who I really am. I sometimes exist in a possibility of a duality, two thoughts. So the definition of duality is an instance of opposition or contrast between two concepts or two aspects of something, a dualism. Sometimes I feel the contrast between being the greatest in the universe and not wanting to exist at all. Sometimes I want to be the brightest light around, or I want to be thriving as one of many in the darkness. Accepting that everything that I need, I have, or taking everything that I want. Showing off and clearly being the smartest in the room or dumbing it down so that I can be accepted, so that people like me. You're going over people's heads, Don. Hope you ain't talking to the feds, Don. See, having the vocabulary to speak eloquently, but code switching to be down with the hood, you know? You feel me? But that also leads to not feeling at home anywhere. I need to adapt to wherever I need to be. See, no one ever sees the real me. 1 Corinthians, the 9th chapter, verse 22 says, I have become all things to all people, that by all means I might save some. So who you see isn't really who I be. It's the version that allows you to exist comfortably, that allows me to blend in with ease despite walking amongst the trees. A version of me that's pleasing to the eye while maintaining this armor, or should I say a disguise. So when I say that you are safe, I really mean it, or maybe I'm just convincing you to think it. See, just now I created some doubt in you while I'm still trying to step out of these metal shoes. See, when it comes to saving me, I don't know where to go to. I don't know what I've become, so no one can become me to save me but me. But that's not the point. It's for you to appreciate me, to love me. And I know it sounds a little bit crazy, but with all these little me's of me running around, I can hardly remember which one is the original me. So I hope I come off credibly with this personality that I present to thee, because even I don't fully understand my duality. And not only that, in duality, do things not go properly, but not only do you see it in yourself, but sometimes you have to see it in other people as well. As much as I do a little bit of everything, you know, I at one point in time, I consider myself, you know, like a young Kanye West, but I realize that's not the comparison I want to be making these days. But when you look at his life, it's something to see. I can tell you this much. The one bar that sticks out to me is I miss the old Kanye, straight from the go Kanye, chop up the soul Kanye, set on his goals Kanye. I hate this new Kanye, the bad mood Kanye, the always rude Kanye, spaz in the news Kanye. I miss the sweet Kanye, chop up the beats Kanye. Gotta say, at that time, I'd like to meet Kanye. Put a hold on that. Who would Kanye West be as a man if religion didn't help formulate his life? My opinion, dead. He would either be dead due to bullying or dead due to being the bully. He would be dead due to having mental health issues or dead due to having too big of a brain. He would be dead due to running his mouth too much or dead because he didn't speak up for himself. You know, if Kanye West is who he is now, back in the day when he was young, I fully believe Kanye West would be dead. Now, what happened to him? What knocked this religion off of him? I believe it was exposure to the industry. Came and knocked a little bit of that religion off. Trauma and drama came and knocked a bit of that religion off. The women, dear God, the women came and knocked a bit of that religion off. And losing his mama kind of put the nail in the coffin of that. See, I believe that religion does have its merits, but there are too many cracks in the veneer that man has glossed over its current formation. Kanye West having mental health issues was shielded by religion, but Kanye's genius at the same time was suppressed by religion. And Kanye seems to have turned back to religion in these later seasons, but do we really know if it's for the right reasons? But without Kanye being the way he is currently, the music industry would not be what it is today. And that's for the better, period. From working with JD, Talib Kweli, Nas, and DMX to young people like Pop Smoke, Young Thug, and Lil Nas X. Let's not forget the music he did with Madonna, Maroon 5, Alicia Keys, Jay, Beyonce, and 2 Chainz. Even after the collapse of Rockefeller, Kanye West kept good music alive. I just wish he already knew then that he already helped make America great again. Hebrews, the 11th chapter, verse 1. Faith is the assured expectation of what is hoped for, the evident demonstration of realities not seen. Could I have seen myself here today, where I am right now, without religion? Absolutely not. Do I ever see myself possibly going back to religion? I'm not sure. But where would I be right now today without religion? I'd like to say that I'd be a multi-millionaire, but that's only in my head. Either that or I would be dead. And I don't think there's nothing I can do now to right my wrongs. I want to talk to God. I'm afraid because we ain't spoken so long, so long, so long. And that's 5. Believe it or not, I didn't plan that set out. No, I apologize if it came off a little scraggly, but we made it. We here.
Yo, first of all, bars, unquestionable bars. And I'm sure everybody that's watching this and everybody that's on this Zoom right now can attest to the same thing. Bars. You drop bars, you drop lots of gems, lyrics for days, content on point. Ladies and gentlemen, this is you've just heard the poetical musings, the blazing poetics from Mr. Don Krypton. Thank you for blessing us, bro. Awesome poetics, without question, without question. And that, ladies and gentlemen, provides the perfect segue to the next segment of this episode, which is our audience Q&A session. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you like to share a question or a comment for Mr. Don Krypton, at this time, feel free to unmute yourself and share your question or comment. Well, maybe I'll set it off. Maybe Pete was waiting for me to set it off. That's okay though. That's okay. We gonna do this.
It's all good.
All right, check it out. For everything that you've done with concerning your writing up until this point, what would you say your goals are with your writing? Like, what do you intend to accomplish with your work?
My purpose with my work, it starts off with relieving the pressure valve in me. That's really just the beginning of it. Then I hear people tell me, hey, this stuff is good. You should write a book. And I'm like, okay, I'll think about it. And then, I'm sure you have enough content by now. Nah, no way. And then I'll pull out and I have, notebooks full of stuff. And I'm like, okay, all right, let's try that out. I definitely want to have a book come out very soon. Hopefully translate that book into an audio book, do some type of audio work with it as well. Just being able to make the connections as well with other people, other like-minded individuals, is definitely something that I wanted to do. And that's something that I've been able to do through poetry. So definitely a book, definitely an audio book, and the connections that I make, not only for myself, but, as general manager at Evolu Culture, being able to get dope people to the shows and to feature as well. I believe that's one of the things I wanted to do with my poetry for sure.
That's what's up. Now, if you could collaborate with any poet living or deceased, who would it be and why?
Gil Scott Heron. Gil Scott Heron was probably one of the people who inspired me to be a poet even before I knew it. I have, a decent amount. I have Whitey on the Moon memorized. I have it performed somewhere. I have obviously The Revolution Will Not Be Televised. I believe him. He was kind of a little bit of everything, kind of too. He was sometimes he would just do speaking, sometimes he would do poetry, spoken word, which all seems to be the same, but they're all have different types and ways of being established. Obviously, he did it with beats. He did it with music. If I could collaborate with someone like Gil Scott Heron, that would be top of the line. He was definitely my inspiration for poetry and spoken word before I got even into this. So that's definitely one person. alive, everybody I see. Like I said, I am inspired by everyone. So if I can get a chance to collaborate with everyone, I think that's why I'm doing so many different things. Everybody has so many ideas and different things. You know, I have collaborated with a bunch of people already. So, you know, as far as putting stuff out on, you know, on wax or, you know, on paper, I don't even want to put any names out there because all the names that I have, all the names that I have, like, you know, if we're talking everybody, I want to work with everybody. I literally do, because that's kind of what I want to do. I want to bridge this gap between, you know, where people, you know, there's people I know who are poets who will never perform live because they're too nervous. There's some people who will never, you know, jump from South Jersey to North Jersey because of their own personal reasons. There's some people that won't, you know, that won't do an audiobook even though they have the greatest voice in the world. You know, it's those are the people you want to work with, to shake them a little bit, bring them out of their shell, and, you know, put them in front of people in their element where you know they would be good at. You know, somebody who has great potential to do this and they won't do it. It's like, get in there. But I think those are the people who I would love to work with the most, because that's where the biggest growth can be seen, because you know they can do it. It's just a matter of getting them in the right medium.
Right. That's what's up. That's what's up. Anyone on the line else on the lines that has a question or a comment for Don Krypton before we close out? Don't be shy now.
That was a great set.
Hey, Kev, it's Robbie.
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah, I hope you know we're recording your audio book in my studio.
There we go. That's what I want to hear.
I got that Telefunken tube mic on deck. We're gonna record that. We're gonna sound smooth, man.
That's what I want to hear. Love it.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Hey, you know what's going on? It's Robbie Wilson.
Hey, how's it going? How's it going?
Good, great show today.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you, Artorius Renee, as well, for coming through. Thank you. Appreciate that, guys.
My pleasure. I do have questions though.
Sure.
My first question is, what is something you have learned from your work specifically? Like, how are you speaking to yourself on the page?
That's an interesting question. I have been a lot more forgiving of myself on the page than I am in real life. I believe that sometimes in my head, when you think about something too much, or if you think about a problem so much, it manifests itself. What I'm saying, you know, the fact that you're thinking about the problem so much, it becomes a problem, even if it wasn't one before. In my poetry, I literally write down all of the actual facts. I write down all of the actual things that actually happened. And it's never anywhere as near as bad as it was in my mind. And even if it is, there's a solution, or there was some time passed and it was gone and it's over and done with. And now I'm here thriving, you know? So I think that's the biggest thing about my poetry. I am a lot more forgiving of myself on the page than I am in my mind, and that has definitely helped me to get to where I am right now.
That's what's up. Great question. Thank you. I see Julie in the house. Jules with a Z. Would you like to share a question or a comment?
It's the first time I'm tuning into Poets with a Purpose. Excuse me, I lost my voice for a couple days, so I sound kind of different. This is a great show. I did not know that there was a question portion, so I don't have a question, but Don did great. You were great too.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so
Greatly
much.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks guys for those questions and comments. I really appreciate you coming through, and I appreciate the support. Thank you so much. Say, bro,
Absolutely.
What's next on your agenda? Do you have any events or projects? You mentioned the book, you're planning to do a book, but do you have anything else in the pipeline that you would like to share with the audience before we close out?
As far as events are concerned, if we're talking strictly poetry right now, outside of this here, next in 2 weeks, Evolution Dope and Mike will have a special guest host. It's me.
Yes.
This will be my first time hosting Evolution Dope and Mike. That's gonna be awesome.
Yes.
There's gonna be I have a show I do Saturday mornings with my friend Ramboa. It's about rap wrestling, and so I'm trying to get people to get on there. Problem is it's 7 a.m, so normally we just have a little we have a recording that we put out so people can engage, and hopefully we get into them next time. I'm starting a new show called Raw Truths live sessions with my friend Rosemary, talking more on the more or less gossip, not necessarily gossip, but more relationship current event topics as well, that a little bit closer to the heart. And on the 19th, I'm going to be featuring down in Bethlehem, PA, at the Barnes and Nobles. Actually, Z will be there as well. And that's going to be the writing quills. I have to find the name of it, but that'll be a feature down there as well as that's the same day where Sean Battle will be at NJ Pack for the Represent concert. So that's everything. That's Noble Quills. Thank you, Jules. The Noble Quills will be there as well, and so all of that's it's a very, very busy few couple of weeks that we're going to get started on, so it's going to be great, and I want to thank you for giving the platform here for us to get started.
Excellent, man. Glad you could come through. Well, as we close out, there's one more thing that I like to do, which I think is very important, and that is to say thank you. First and foremost, thank you, Don Krypton, for coming through. Great conversation, blazing poetics, no question. All the best to you on your future endeavors, no doubt. Keep doing big things, no question. Also want to thank my audience for coming through. Thank you for your questions and comments. Very much appreciated. Appreciate the love and the support. Thank you. For those of you that wish to connect with Poets with Purpose, you can do so through the Facebook group, Poets with Purpose. Also on Twitter, @PoetsWPurpose, YouTube channel of the same name. And I'm also on Clubhouse, @The Anointed Pen. Stay tuned for episode 11, featuring Poet Porter Rock, which will be Saturday, November 5th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You don't want to miss this. All of my logos and flyers have been designed by the great team at Eclipse Graphics. You can find them on Instagram @Eclipse Graphics NY. You can look up samples of their work and reach out to them if you want anything done for your own personal projects. For more information about Poets with Purpose and the P.W.P sessions, you can call me at 646-372-6230 or email me at poetswithpurpose@gmail.com. Lastly, those of you wishing to make a donation, you can do so through PayPal, Tap Media Man, Cash App, $Anointed Pen, or Zelle, utilizing my phone number. And one last thing, Don, sorry, I forgot to mention this. For those that may not already be connected to you, where can you be found on social media?
Social media, literally, I pretty much have the top billing on the name Don Krypton. So if you Google Don Krypton, it'll take you directly to my Instagram page. It'll take you to my Twitter page, which I'd probably want to leave that one alone because it's a little crazy in there. Facebook is a little crazy as well, but if you want to follow for the poetry stuff, on Facebook is @The Words of Don Krypton. That's the Facebook page for my poetry. But the Instagram is probably the best way you'll be able to get in contact with me, @DonKrypton.
Awesome. Much love to you, bro. Much love to you. Now, this episode will be uploaded to the Poets with Purpose YouTube channel within the next hour or so y'all will be able to view and share as you like. Thank you all so much for coming through. Great episode, great conversation. Thank you for coming through. Thank you all for your love and support of the P.W.P Sessions podcast. You all have a good evening and God bless. Thank you.
God bless. Have a good one. Be safe, y'all.
You too. Thank you.